Give me 5 minutes and I will make you not a storyteller, but a business storyteller. And there is a big difference between just being a storyteller and being a business storyteller. Welcome to the channel, everybody. My name is Anjali. I am the founder of Narrative, the Business of Stories, a story practice based in Singapore doing global work. I'm also the author of Strategic Storytelling, a bestseller across multiple platforms. But today is about you. This video is about making you a business storyteller. Now, if you're interested in the creative side of storytelling, which is like for movie making and documentary and adverts and commercials, this is not the kind of storytelling you need to practice. But if you're someone who's standing in a boardroom trying to make a business point, then keep listening. Okay, so let me start off by saying all the definitions of storytelling that we hear, beginning, middle, and end, challenge, action, result, they fail in a business setup because they depend a lot on the complexity of the character. The hero of the story is the character, but in a business setting, the hero of the story is not the character. It is the point you're trying to make. Now, let me give you an example of what can a business story sound like. Let's listen to a short story told by Malcolm Gladwell, which I think is an amazing business story. So let's have a look.
I'll give you another example. I was chatting with a friend of mine recently who is a physician in a large teaching hospital, and he was describing to me a case of a man had come in after being in a dreadful traffic accident. He had nearly died. In fact, he would have died under normal circumstances, but it so happens that they would manage to get a helicopter to the crash site very quickly, bring the man to one of the great trauma centers in the region. A team of world-class surgeons descended on this man, did a series of operations over the course of the next 24 hours, saved his life. Man leaves the hospital, is brought back to health, gets married, has children, and one day he's walking along the beach and he collapses. And he's dreadfully sick. He's taken back to the hospital. They realize he has a raging sepsis infection. They end up having to amputate one of his legs. He nearly dies. His life is derailed for months and months. Why did he get the sepsis infection? Because one of the things that happened to him when he was being operated on was that his spleen was taken out. And when you take out someone's spleen, you have to give them a vaccination against a very common type of bacteria that your spleen will normally protect yourself against. Somebody forgot to give him the vaccination. So here's a man being operated on for 24 hours by a team of world-class surgeons at a price tag of hundreds of thousands of dollars. Someone forgets to give him a $2 infection. And what happens? He nearly dies again. All of that work nearly comes to naught. What do those two examples tell us? They tell us that as systems get more complicated, as domains of activity, professional activity, get more interconnected, things start to resemble football and not basketball.
Okay, now let's decode that. What did that story have? That story had the following elements. It started at a certain time. He uses a time marker. Recently, I was talking to a friend of mine. Most stories in a professional setting start off with a specific time marker, calendar marker, 2007, just the other day, last week, August 2019, which makes your story true. It is a very lawyer-like and a very journalist-like style of starting a story. And we associate lawyers and journalists with telling news and telling facts. So if you start like that, it makes a lot of sense. Then he goes into bringing the character into the story. Now, the surgeon and the person who actually goes through the accident is the character in the story. Now, I would like you to pay attention to the fact that he's not fussing over the character. We are not interested in the backstory of the character. We are not interested in, not once he sort of says, just imagine the feeling his family is going through when he's, become okay, and then again he falls on the beach and the trauma they went through. We are not building an emotion around the character. We do have character in the story, but we are more interested in what causes the issues to the character versus feeling for the character. So keep your character subtle. Have them, but keep them subtle. Okay, then it's interesting to notice how the story has series of events. This happened, that happened, that happened, this happened, and that happened, right? It's not just an example. He doesn't just sort of say the guy who actually after a few years realizes that he's developed infection because he was not given an injection which protects him against bacteria. He tells you this happened, that happened, that happened, that happened. I would suggest that you keep it short and sharp. 4 to 5 series of events is more than enough. Then the story has something unexpected that happens. He falls on the beach. That is something unexpected, something we did not expect to happen that happened. Now, if you work in business, please look for unexpected that happens at a higher frequency. Do not look for unexpected that happens every now and then, because if you only talk about things that happen every now and then, like a pilot lands a plane in the Hudson River, people are not going to resonate with that. People are going to be like, that's remarkable, well, clap for you, but I'm not going to resonate with that. It's not going to happen to me. So you have to find something that people can say, oh, that happens to us all the time. But the most important thing is, he then takes the story and brings home a point. The point he's making is, as working in organizations is becoming very, very complex, very, very, healthcare now, it's not just about a good surgeon. It's not just about somebody who's a world-class doctor. A lot of other people play a lot of different roles to ensure that the final outcome is in place. He has a very strong business point. He spends a lot of time in creating a proposition for the story. Proposition for the story is the most important thing in a business setting. You've got to explain how that story connects to the business that you are in, and what are the things we're learning from that story that we can connect a learning from. I hope that helps. Stay storied and subscribe by pressing on the bell icon if you'd like more tips on storytelling for business. Stay storied.